Welcome to the eTwinning online seminar, Integrating Games in the Classroom. And to start, I would like to give you some instructions. So if you want to speak, I need to unmute you. So you need to raise your hand clicking on the icon that has that little hand, and we will give you the floor to participate. Also, if you want to express yourself during the seminar, you can do it through the emoticons or through the green and red symbols. So you can say that you agree or disagree, or that you are happy with what we are saying or not. So you can express yourself even if you don't have the microphone on. Also, if you want to say that we are going too fast or we need to go slower, you can click on those symbols behind the emoticons. So these are the basic instructions to work here on WebEx. If you have problems with sound, which I believe now the majority is solved, we recommend that you change to headsets like the ones I'm using. If you don't have it, maybe it's going to be harder to listen. But on the top bar, you can click on audio and do the speaker microphone audio test. And if this still doesn't work, you may try to leave the session and come back again. I can see in the chat that this worked for some people, so maybe this is the solution for you. Okay? So now, our dear speaker with us today is Alenka, and I will try to pronounce this correctly, is Dr. Alenka Kavčič. I hope it's similar. And I would like to thank you for accepting this invitation. And Alenka is a senior lecturer at the Faculty of Computer and Information Science in the University of Ljubljana. Besides her pedagogical responsibilities, she's involved in a number of research projects related to multimedia and internet technologies, computer-based education and learning, human-computer interaction, and virtual and augmented reality. So her main research interest is in the field of hypermedia and computer-based learning, in particular adaptive hypermedia systems and user modeling, web-based educational systems, and the innovative use of information technologies in education. She has also co-organized several summer schools for high school teachers and students, and she's here today to talk a little bit more about integrating games in the classroom. So now I will give you the floor to Alenka. Welcome, Alenka. I will give you the ball.
Thank you. Thank you. Just change to my presentation now. So first I would like to welcome you all to join us in this webinar on this, at least in Slovenia, nice already summer afternoon. But I'll try my best to make this webinar interesting, and you won't regret to joining me here in the classroom. Okay, so what's today's topic? First, we'll make a short introduction. Then we'll talk about games in education, game-based learning. We have gamification. It's one thing that's quite popular lately. We'll take a look what it is exactly. Simulations or other kind of game-like using in education. And we'll take a look at how to integrate the games in the educational process, what we have to be careful, take special attention to what points. And then at the end, if we have some more time, I'll try to present a few examples from our teaching at the faculty, where we used actually, we developed games in classes, so it's kind of using games for educational purposes. So the goal is to introduce this topic and different approaches how to integrate games in the classroom, and of course present some examples at the end. So first, the introduction. Of course, in modern education, we all know that user-centered, so learner-centered activity is quite popular lately. So on-demand activity, engaging activity, and of course technology-centered activity. We use modern technology a lot in the education. On the other hand, students, especially the younger ones, they grew up with these new technologies. They grew up with playing computer games or on tablets, on mobile phones, and they play games for their entertainment, so for enjoyment, for play, and they are quite used to the games. And there is one question, well, actually two questions. How to make learning more engaging and more enjoyable, and how to increase motivation in learning. And one of the answers is to include games in education, because games are engaging per se, are enjoyable by children, and they do increase motivation. So how do we use games in education? Actually, it's not really a question if games are appropriate for learning, because the research lately there were many studies that found out that games are appropriate for learning. The real question is how to integrate them in the classroom, how to create effective, engaging, and also interactive instruction. So how to motivate and actively engage the learners in the class. We can use games in education in different ways. We can use commercial computer games, entertaining games. We can use special educational games that are prepared for this purpose. Or we can also create the games by ourselves, so the students are creating the games in the educational process. So let's take a look first at this one approach, using general entertainment computer games. Those are often commercial games, so commercial off-the-shelf games that are really engaging, but not intended for educational purposes. So they do not have educational content, but sometimes the topic matches course content. And then we can use it in our course as well. Sometimes they are short of intellectual content, so we have to be careful to make up for this shortage. And the educational value of those games is not in the first plan, it's accidental and it's unintended. But still, they can be used in education. One example that is quite widely used all over in all countries, all over the world, it's the game Civilization. It's a strategy game, and allows players to manage the rise of civilizations. If the topic of the course is history, this game can be used in the classroom as well. Another game similar to that on the topic of history is Age of Empires. That's actually set amid historic events, and you can also learn the history through this game, through playing this game. Another example, not in the setting of history, is SimCity. Actually, that's a city building video game, and the task is to develop a city, to make citizens happy. You are having a role of major, and you have to balance the budget, the needs of the citizens, and that's the strategy how to prosper with the city. geography, civil engineering are the topics that match this game content. So this game can be used also in education in this way. So another approach is to use special educational computer games that were actually developed with the purpose to be used in education. So they are developed by educators or professional programmers. Those are, of course, the best because they do have this educational point integrated in the game, but they're quite expensive to develop and take a lot of time, of course. And the first approach that I already mentioned is to create computer games in the classroom so that the students are the ones that are creating games. And in this way, we also have this engagement and motivation of the games. We get it in the classroom as well. Okay, so educational games, if we look in the history, first computers were used more for drill and practice learning, so that we practice like calculations and so on. But actually it's not necessary to be only for drill and practice. They can also, the computer games can also be designed to teach new concepts. So typically through a computer game in this way. And preferably we have this lead up and also the end debriefing session so that the students find out what will they learn while playing the game. At the end they kind of check what they've learned and see how they did in the game. What's good with educational games is that they usually provide information in different formats. So we have multiple formats like visual, textual, auditory, because you know that learners some are more visually oriented, some are more textually oriented, so that the learner can choose the preferred format and preferred style of learning. And also they can practice skills in other styles as well. Game-based learning is actually an approach to teaching. So when students explore some aspects of the game in a learning context that's designed by teachers, we say that we have this approach, that we have game-based learning. So that's actually gameplay, but not gameplay per se, but with defined specific learning outcomes. Students usually work towards a goal, choosing actions to reach this goal, experiencing consequences, of course, of these actions. Maybe they take wrong decisions, and they learn by receiving the response to these decisions. What's good is that it's a risk-free environment. So if they make a wrong decision, nothing explodes if we mix some chemicals that shouldn't be mixed. So we can experiment freely, and that's actually active learning because we are learning by doing. What are the benefits, the main benefits of game-based learning? Of course, popularity of gaming, and it's attractive to learners. It has a fun factor, of course, it captures attention, inspires, motivates learning, and we also get the opportunity for real experience. We can set in authentic learning environment, learning exercise in virtual world, so we can reset everything if it's needed. It's not as in the real world when we cannot if we make a mistake, we cannot go back and correct it. So learners can also develop theories, and they can test those theories, which is not feasible in real life. Game-based learning is also works on challenges, so the learners have tasks to do, the challenges, and they are completing the tasks and learn by completing these tasks. That's actually problem-based learning, which supports deeper understanding of the learned subjects. Of course, as everything, also game-based learning has some shortcomings. I listed here only a few of them. Sometimes the games, especially if they are commercial games, are not suitable for learning. So we have to be careful when we are deciding on which games to use, because they they can be without this educational value. Also, they might lack the mental stimulation, so they have a lot of visual stimulation and skills, but the mental stimulation is missing. Sometimes we have to put a lot of effort to prepare the game, but the gain, so what's the outcome of this kind of learning, it's quite low. So this is also one of the shortcomings. And of course, we are all complaining that children spend too much time behind the computer, and if we use game-based learning, they spend even more time behind the computer, and also cause health problems. So we have to consider this factor as well. I already mentioned that we have educational games. Then there is another notion of gamification. And of course, we have simulations, different types of simulations. Let's take a look of all three of them. What are the differences and what are the similarities? So they are similar in a way that they engage the learner. They encourage thoughtful consideration of the content. And also they provide some meaningful impact to the learner. But where they are different in purpose, where they are used, why they are used, in the results, so what are the results of using games or gamification or simulation, and how they are designed. Next, we'll take a look at games. What exactly are educational games? If we take a definition from Karl Kapp, this is a nice definition that actually explains what a game in educational context is. So actually it's a system in which players engage in an abstract challenge defined by rules, interactivity, feedback, and this system results in a quantifiable outcome, often eliciting an emotional reactions as well. We have various types of games like puzzles, fighting games, exploration. Probably you all know at least some kind of these games. The type of activities that these games offer can be either matching, like in Hangman, collecting, capturing, Monopoly, you all know the table game Monopoly, or allocating resources, like in SimCity, so you have to distribute the budget to make all the citizens happy. Strategy, like chess or EVE Online, building, puzzle solving, exploring, helping, role-playing. So we have different activities that can be used in games. The games also differ on the type of content that is being taught. So the type of knowledge, they can have declarative knowledge, conceptual, rule-based, other types of skills or knowledge. And also the concept of the game, it's quite important. We have actually two concepts in this way. One are testing games and the other are teaching games. Testing games are the ones that test what the learner already knows. So the learner has to recall the knowledge, and the important thing is here repetition and also the feedback. Examples are a game of matching or multiple choice questions in quizzes. So we get the feedback and we repeat a lot of time to test the learner's knowledge. The other type of games are teaching games, where the game itself teaches a learner how to do something, so teaches something new, or teaches him to apply knowledge in a different context. So usually you have here a series of activities, and the learner adjusts his or her behavior and attitude to responses in this game environment. For example, we can use learn our negotiation skills in a game where we have to negotiate either for better prices in one commerce or maybe hostage environment or something like that. The notion of gamification is quite different to games. Gamification is actually to use game-based mechanisms, aesthetics, or thinking in order to engage learners, to motivate their actions, to promote learning, and to solve problems. So the purpose is actually to encourage the learner to solve the problem, to progress through the content, to motivate learners' actions, to influence behavior, to build skills also, and to drive innovation, so innovative thinking and also activities. What are the characteristics of gamification? This is a special approach to present a subject matter. The subject matter is actually our non-gaming context, but we use gaming elements to make this non-gaming context more interesting and more engaging. So we use maybe different levels, we collect points, we have lives, like in the game, maybe timing, the best times, leaderboards. And also on the other side, we can have special tasks, missions to complete. We have competitions with other learners, collect scores, and then ranking, rewards for certain points, maybe discovery, reinforcement. So actually we are transforming our tasks into games. Gamification, although it uses parts of games, it is not a game. So we cannot say that the content that is gamified, it's a game. Because game is usually a self-contained unit where we have clear beginning, end, defined winning states. We have multiple game elements. But in gamification, we just use game elements, but the intent is not to create this self-contained unit. So the intent is just to use the game elements in the non-gaming context. So we have two approaches to gamification, two main approaches. One is structural, where we can apply game elements to the content, but we do not change the content. We do not alter the content. So we just use like points, badges, achievements, levels, challenges to motivate, to engage the learners to go through our content. The other type of gamification is content gamification, where we apply game elements and also game-like thinking. So we alter the content to make it more game-like, and we add like story elements. We start the course with a challenge. So actually we change the content to be more game-like, and also we can add, like in structural gamification, we can add other game-like points, badges, achievements, and so on. One quite well-known example of gamification is Duolingo. They say they are free language education for the world. Actually, it's a language learn platform, and at the same time crowdsource text translation platform. They use this icon owl as a cheerleader to keep you going. You get points for finishing the tasks. You get strength bar. So when you do the task, when you answer the questions, the strength bar is going up, and then with the time, if you don't repeat, you tend to forget, so the strength bar is going down. So you also have the tracking progress in vocabulary, you have lives, levels, so all the elements of the gaming. Also social ranking, you can compete with other, your peers or your colleagues who will do better. So the third way of using game-like or games in education is to use simulations. Simulations are realistic, but in controlled risk environment where learners can practice special behavior or experience the impact of their decisions. Key features are that they simulate reality, which is not always true for the games, because games can be fiction as well. All the risks are controlled, like in the flight simulator, it's not a problem if we crash. No lives are in danger. And this way we have ability to practice, to apply our knowledge, what we have learned elsewhere or before, and to practice in actually a real environment. We can also do this trial and error learning. So what happens if we do this right, or if we do this wrong? What are the types of simulation? We can have a branching storyline. So the learner is an active character in a story, and there are some decision points where the learner has to decide whether to go maybe left or right in this story. So actually, we simulate different branches, and in the response of the learner decision, we can change the story. There are also simulations like system dynamic simulation, modeling complex systems like physics or business model. And there is also another type of simulation like simulation of software or equipment. The most well-known is flight simulator, where we can actually drive the real plane or real car if you have a car simulation. Before we go to the example, let's take a look at the usage. So it's for application of learning, so to practice. They actually turn knowledge into action. So we already know something, and by doing, we actually practice this knowledge. They are also useful in the professional sector, like flight simulator or driving training with simulators, where they are needed for the drill and practice for professionals. In simulation, we always work in a like replicate real life environment, which is without this real life stress, without risk factors. But the environment should be as similar as possible to the real environment. So one example, the picture shows flight simulator. This is for training professional pilots. We also have the seats as in the cockpit. And the other picture is showing flight simulator for home entertainment, which is maybe a little less sophisticated, but if we emerge, especially by using like Oculus Rift or other virtual reality equipment, we can really emerge in this simulation and it seems like a real experience. Another type of simulation here, another example is, for example, open source physics. That's a software package that's available free of charge on the web. And we can simulate different physics physics models, so computational models of physical systems. We can experiment, change the parameters, and see what happens. Now we got to the second part of this presentation. So far we talked about what are games in education, what kind of games we can use, but the most important question is how to do it, how to integrate games in our class. We can have different approaches, like top-down approach, where the game is the framework when new learning emerges. So we learn inside this game. Or maybe bottom-up approach, where game is acts as an opportunity to use our pre-learned skills and to synthesize the knowledge. Or we can use it in combination of both different ways. Here are three scenarios that are possible to use game in the context of the class. So we can first play the game, well, the students play the game. Then we study the content of the game, so the teacher explains what's the content of this lesson, and then we refer back to the game to refer to what we've learned during playing the game. Another possibility is maybe to study the content first, and then use the game for application of this new learned knowledge and for the assessment. Or maybe we can alternate playing the game with activities that are extending this game, so the learning activities that are not inside the game. So different scenarios can be used in gameplay. What's important is to consider various issues here. So the first one are the games we are using. Of course, the games, especially if we use commercial entertainment games, they are not appropriate for teaching all topics. They are not appropriate for teaching all learners or in all environments. So we have to be careful to choose correct games for the specific topics. They can also be quite expensive to integrate and implement. Expensive, I do not mean the money here, although they can also cost something, but expensive in a way of the effort and the time that we need to integrate and implement this game into classroom. We have to know that the games are effective only if the instruction matches the medium that the games are using, and that the content is integrated within the game. Otherwise, they won't be as effective as we would like to be. And of course, not all games are alike. We have different games, different strategies playing, different learning supported in the game. So we have to analyze individual games for underlining strengths and strategies before we decide which game to use in the classroom. Another thing to consider are our students. Do our students play games? Are they fast in playing games? Are they familiar with playing games? There are also individual differences like gender, or maybe background of the student. We have to take in account the interest of students, prior gaming knowledge, and also their technical knowledge. So the level of comfort when using the games and also the level of comfort when using technology, ability of using this technology. Do the students have access to appropriate computers to use the games, to be able to play the games? Also, not all games fit. One size doesn't fit all. It refers to the game. One game, it's not for everything. So we have to be careful also what types of skills are practiced in the game. Probably you know this Bloom's taxonomy. We are trying to get these upper levels of the higher levels of the taxonomy. So creating, evaluating, and analyzing. We also have to be careful that the game is appropriate for the age of our students, so that it's not too difficult, but has to be challenging, not too boring to be used in the classroom. It has to be on different levels. It's good that it supports collaboration between students, that we get prompt feedback that's engaging, that enhances the learning, and the technology that is used that enhances the learning, that it's easy for using as well, so that the students don't struggle with the technology or game itself instead of learning the topics. And of course, teachers are quite important as well. So that's you. So do you play computer games? How fast are you in playing? How familiar are you with computer games? And if you want to use a specific game in the classroom, are you familiar with this game? You have to really know the game from start to finish systematically. You have to know what are all possible, let's say, sequences of completing the game. So how to complete the challenges. Also, approach to game playing is important. If you have this fixed sequence, linear approach, or non-linear with different sequences, how to get to the end, to the winning state. And does your approach to gameplay matches the student's approach? So we have this difference. It can be quite difficult to see the proper way of using the game in the classroom. What else to consider? Maybe content of the game. The content of the game has to match the curriculum, so this connection has to be clear. It's important what is covered in the game. So are all the topics covered? Are the topics focused on breadth or depth? Which topics will you focus on? Because probably you won't focus on all of them. What is not covered in the game? So missing topics, missing content within the topic, or maybe required prerequisite knowledge that the students have to have. Also, there might be some inaccurate information in the game, misleading information. Maybe we have alternative viewpoints or interpretations. Maybe inappropriate or incorrect strategies can be used or are used in the game. We have to consider all these wrong things as well. And of course, we have to add these instructional activities to address the weaknesses of the game. So if we are missing some content, if there is inaccurate information, we have to compensate this with additional instructional activities. So for the conclusion, I would say that games in the classroom are in general good. They improve learning experience. They do encourage students to understand subject matter better in the context also. The students can interact with problems directly. And if games are used properly, so well implemented in the class regarding the content and regarding the educational point of view, they are the winning strategy. So for effective integration, we have to take care that the game is embedded into this curriculum that we are having. The game has to include instructional support as well, and the objectives of the game and the objectives of the curriculum have to match. Otherwise, the integration of the game will not be so successful. So I guess that's all for this session. I don't know if we still have some time.
I think yes, we have at least 5 minutes to
5 minutes?
Yes, to make some questions. I also would like to say something that I know I missed who said it. Sorry, but somebody said this is also encouraging for teachers. Olga said that the games are also encouraging for teachers. So which is a very important part as well.
For teachers, yeah.
Yes, for teachers. So if somebody wants to ask something to Alenka, I'm sure you didn't read all the comments, Alenka, but everyone was sharing. Yes, of course. But everyone was sharing their experiences and also some games that they use. So I would like to now to take this chance to ask you to send me an email. So all of you have my email address. So I would like to ask you to send me an email with all those suggestions and the context. Where do you use that specific game? So I can share with everyone along with the presentation of this seminar. So that's the thing that I wanted to share with you. So let me check if we have more questions.
I think that first-hand experience from the teachers that already use certain games in the classroom are the best. So if they can share their experience and also drawbacks of using it, would be really nice.
Does someone want to share their experience?
Or maybe as a comment at the end of the presentation.
Sira says, my problem is that often the head teacher does not recognize the educational value of the game. Would you like to comment on that, Alenka?
Yeah, that's always a problem. It's difficult for me to comment because I'm coming from a slightly different environment from the university, and I don't have these problems with my supervisors to not to recognize the importance of what I'm doing. Maybe if they can see how how successful can be a class with using the games.
So invite them to the classroom.
Invite them to the classroom.
Okay.
That might change their minds.
That could be interesting.
To be more academic, maybe there are some research showing that children learned better or deeper, they gained deeper knowledge when using the games. So you can also check for those papers and maybe show them to the headmaster.
Okay, thank you. That's a good suggestion. Also, John wanted to ask you if can you, I don't know, share more examples, more concrete examples of games that can be used in the classroom? Maybe if you don't have it now, maybe can you share with us later on?
Well, unfortunately, those are some examples that I already put in the presentation, but I can't add a long list of games, but maybe you can check. There are some portals on the internet that are dedicated to this, maybe sharing experience with other teachers. That would be useful. So what games are appropriate for which context?
So does anyone have more questions? Some notes with examples. I will share with you everything that Alenka just shared with us. So you will have all the information with the examples that she shared. And if you send me the suggestions that you were sharing now in the chat, I will also send those suggestions to everybody that was here attending the seminar. Yes, maybe that's a great idea. Thank you, Loredana. I will create a shared document where everyone can include the games that they use and the topics. Excellent. Thank you. I will do that, yes. What about crowded classes? What kind of games are more useful? So I will take this last question.
I really don't know the answer to this.
Let's student, somebody suggests.
Yeah, that's the easiest, but difficult to do it in practice. Maybe doing in turns.
Can you type it in the chat, please, so we can? Okay. They are asking for another seminar, Practicing Games Part 2. Okay, we will see if we can do that. Or maybe a learning event. What do you think? Learning event, okay. So let's see if we can do that. Okay, if you don't have any more questions, I promise you that till tomorrow morning, I will send you everything, including the shared document. I'm not sure if Alenka wants to share something else with us.
Maybe just one comment.
Okay.
The slides that I've sent you, so probably they will be available. I included also some, at the end, some hidden slides, but they are available in the slides.
Okay.
On a project that we have here at the faculty, it's called EDU project. And there are some links to the games that our students developed, just to get an impression what they're doing.
Okay. That's great.
They can check it out as well.
Yes, that's great. Thank you. Okay. So if you don't have any more questions, I would like to now thank Alenka for this very interesting moment that we had. And we hope to maybe meet sometime in eTwinning world. And thank you all. You were great participants, sharing everything that you had in the chat. So I will hope to see you in the next eTwinning online seminars. Bye-bye, and thank you.
Thank you, Ruth, for hosting us.
My pleasure. Bye-bye.